The one big, beautiful bill act. From one monster topic to another here. All right, so this features an extension of Trump's 2017 tax cuts. No taxes on tips, which was hugely popular. No taxes on overtime pay. Mandating 80 hours per month of work, volunteering, or education for Medicaid eligibility. An increased tax deduction for seniors, beefed up border security, bolstered energy supplies, among other things. But it did not pass. So on May 16th, 2025, the bill was blocked in the House Budget Committee, so 4 Republicans voted it down due to concerns of overspending. It didn't cut overspending enough. And a 5th one opposed it on procedural grounds. I have no idea what that means.
Hold on, can I jump in?
Yeah.
You know that it got approved in the committee just last night, right?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. It just got approved in the House Budget Committee. They advanced the bill.
Really? Thanks. Okay. Okay, so fantastic. So where are we now then?
Not that fantastic.
Oh, you don't like it? Okay.
Well, I mean, we can still talk about the reasons why it was opposed by so many people, because I think there's some really good points.
No. They haven't done a floor vote yet.
It needs to go
Okay.
through.
So there's still
Memorial Day is
But
there.
can we presume, though, that the fact that they brought on these 5 Republicans who said no, that it's likely going to pass?
Well, there's going to be opposition in the Senate because people like Josh Hawley, Josh Hawley said not only is it politically stupid to cut Medicaid and Medicare benefits, it would be politically suicidal. It's like morally wrong.
So here's my understanding of this. And for me, I really am not a big fan of these big omnibus bills in general, because oftentimes it's a way to take public sentiment, something people want, and then they sneak in nefarious things in the back end, hoping people either won't notice or their desire for the front-loaded thing supersedes the thing that they don't want, right? We saw this when the Democrats were trying to pass their border bill, and they put a huge indictment on Republicans. Oh, they don't want us to pass this. No, we don't want money for Ukraine. There's a very big difference. The thing that Republicans seem to not like about this bill in particular is that a lot of the tax cuts are actually backloaded, and then it's going to increase the deficit much, much faster. So, for example, a lot of the benefits that people are hoping for won't even take effect until after Trump leaves office. For example, some of the rules and regulations that they want to put against Medicaid, for example, to require able-bodied people without children to be able to work. Sounds great to me. Let's assign the funds to people.
I want to litigate that because it sounds great to me too. I don't get it. What's the pushback?
It does sound good on the surface.
This is where it seems that people are more so upset about its implementation, because he is not requiring this to take effect until 2029. Well, he's already out of office by then.
That might be on purpose, because this has been tried before in the past, right? So, look, I don't have a problem with having work requirements for able-bodied people who receive Medicaid. The problem is about 64% of Medicaid recipients, and remember, Medicaid's different from Medicare. Medicaid is run by states. 64% of them are either working full-time or part-time. The rest of them are not able-bodied, or they are taking care of family members who are ill, either elderly family members, or they're going to school. And the way that the bill is written right now, I think it was like, oh, well, to qualify for Medicaid, you have to work for at least, what was it,
80 hours in a month.
Whole month,
yes.
Right? Which isn't that much, but most of the people who can work are actually working right now.
Well,
the other thing that I'll just note, and this is important because they have tried this before, and it ended up costing more money because you have to set up the bureaucracy to process people's applications and ensure that they're actually working to receive the Medicaid benefits.
But that's a one-time cost, right?
You have to. So in Georgia, they had implemented it in Georgia. It cost $26 million to initially implement it, and then another $40 million to continue the program. And the Government Accountability Office put out a report about it that you could read, and it's very detailed. So
eventually it would zero out, right? Presumably.
I mean, I think that there's this mistake in thinking most people who take food stamps or Medicaid are like, all of them are lazy bums and they just want to live off the government.
I would say a lot.
Based on what? What's your evidence of that?
There's so many instances of people, like in Philadelphia, for instance, there's so many, even
I don't care about your anecdotal evidence. What's like the data? Do you have data?
Yes, it's been studied. Every government program is 60% fraud. And the Social Security disability, it's actually led to some horrible things to get your kids. If you pay people not to work, they're not going to work.
Right.
The veterans benefits, the Social Security disability, and you have all these parents living off claiming their kids have, what is it, ADHD?
ADHD.
But in order to collect all that money, you have to put your kids on psychotropic drugs. So they're drugging their kids.
Wow.
God, that's
and there was a
terrible.
family up in Boston that were murdered their child with these drugs. They were living 100% on 4 kids whom they claimed disability. And, you know, you give them these horrible drugs. I mean, I think we should have charity hospitals and send it back to the states because every government program, you know, they got rid of welfare, sort of work requirements back in '96. And Social Security disability, it's like welfare goes down, Social Security disability goes up. If you're going to pay people not to work, it is always going to be scammed. Elon can't do enough cuts.
I couldn't agree more. And you know what?
I hate my party for not just putting the Doge cuts into this big, beautiful
I
bill.
agree with that so much.
I think it's a bad
Why haven't
look.
they
Hold
con-
on. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go.
Just real quick, I have a question. I'm really curious what you all think. I mean, don't you think it's a bad look for Trump, who's really presented himself as like this right-wing populist, to give these massive corporate tax breaks, massive tax cuts, which benefit the working class a little bit, but disproportionately benefit the rich, and then at the same time try to do these cuts to food stamps and Medicaid?
Well, 2 points
yes,
about that.
I do agree.
The 2 points about that. How do you give tax cuts to people who don't pay taxes? Because let's not forget, 40% of the American people don't even pay
Earned
income.
income
You mean the
tax
rich?
cut.
They don't
It's
pay
another
taxes.
welfare payment. It's
And-
welfare,
and-
welfare, welfare.
Exactly. And I just want to say something. I feel deeply about this issue. I grew up so poor, like painfully poor. When I was a kid, I would count pennies on my bed. And I worked at Wawa for $9 an hour. My family did not take a single penny from anybody, private or public. We worked our asses off. So I have a very particular attitude towards poverty and individual responsibility to extract yourself from that adversity.
Medicare and Social Security are the only programs that aren't scammed because it's just a matter of your age.
Exactly, 100%. And the other thing, though, the issue with the Medicaid, the other aspect was that they're saying that for blue states, they could actually introduce programs that would you wouldn't have to go and work those 80 hours as long as you're fulfilling these specific programs. And states like California, New York, you know they're going to create the easiest program ever to satisfy. And then all of a sudden you're forgiven and you don't need to go through that. So to your point about the thing that I saw in the bill about the cuts affecting corporations versus individuals was with solar. Did you see that? So essentially the way that it works is the tax cuts that individuals get on their solar are wiped out, but corporations get to keep them.
Oh, wow.
And so over time, it's not going to make fiscal sense for Americans to purchase solar panels, but rather lease them from these corporations. So that was one of the major things I saw in the bill that reminded me of what you just said.
And look, I never thought I was going to say this in my career, but it's true. The fiscal hawks are correct in being worried about our debt and deficit. Okay,
Says it's
we
gonna
spent
add
$1 trillion
trillions.
servicing our debt last year. That's insane. That's insane.
And we just want to go back to pre-COVID spending, and they can't do that.
It looks
Were
good
we,
on, like-
you know, all living in poverty, orphans on the street back in 2019?
Right, yeah. No, it looks good on a 10-year window, but then there's also the 4 years for lobbyists to come in and undo a lot of those back-end cuts as well. And so it's just they need to balance the budget. If they're going to introduce all of these cuts, they need to take down some spending. They need to consummate some of the dodge things as well that they have not consummated yet, right? Like, why is that? Why can't they put that towards balancing the budget
You bring
overall?
up a really good point. Elon caught so much flack for, wielding a chainsaw on stage. I actually agree with that. I think we need that attitude towards the federal government.
Well, this
I
is
don't
why
want-
we need Trump to do something. One of the things that made me the angriest about January 6th, besides looking like dorks, was that we suddenly realized how much power Trump had all along. If he had ever said, come to Washington, I'm giving a speech on the ellipse, and we're not shut down because of COVID. And then he tells them all, okay, you're going to march peacefully to Congress and talk to your senator and representative and ask for funding for the wall and ask for, you could do it right now, and ask for the Doge cuts. Trump has so much power with his voters. Use it for good. Not for a riot at
I have mostly
Congress.
questions though about this. This whole show is going to be questions for me. Here's what I'm not understanding. Everybody seems to think it's a bad idea to cut Medicaid, though. Like, I could show you a video of Steve Bannon
Okay,
saying...
I don't think it's a bad idea, actually.
And- well,
I
some
think
a
we
lot
need
of
to trim.
big friggin' Republicans are like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So...
Because their constituents rely on Medicaid.
But then
and it'll be
why
politically
are we...
unpopular.
And by the way, I'm so confused because I didn't find it. Where's the cut part? The only thing I see is
It's
you have to
work
work.
requirements.
How is that a cut?
Right.
I don't get it.
Right.
Where's the cut?
Basically,
Especially if it's
they're
not phasing
hoping.
Is it
Right.
me? Am I a moron?
Well, they're hoping this is how they see it as a cut. Basically, some people are going to have difficulty, proving that they're working or logging on to whatever system they set up.
So that's the cut?
about- wait,
It's a
there's
hypothetical cut?
there's
that people
another
are just
cut.
going to have a difficult
I
time.
suppose the
There's another
idea
cut.
is, and this did kind of work with welfare
Okay.
reform, to be fair to
Yeah.
welfare reform. The reason you want people to work isn't just because you want to save money for the government. It's for dignity and showing the next generation this is what you do. And
Absolutely.
a lot of people got off welfare when they did put in welfare reform in 1996.
There's one
It actually
other-
did work.
There's one other part of this equation that I'm curious what you all think about, because we don't know what the end result of Trump's trade wars will be, but if he does actually go through with astronomical tariffs on our trading partners, make no mistake about it, there will be job losses in this country. Companies will shut down, and if the unemployment rate goes up and it's harder to qualify for Medicaid if you lose your job and you can't find work, isn't that
okay.
kind of messed up?
Okay, I see
We'll
that.
see.
Well, wouldn't that,
I mean,
wouldn't
he's
that
always
actually
backfired
inspire
down.
Wouldn't that inspire people to get off their butts and
I
actually
watch
work?
MSNBC all day, and it's all about what if. I
There's
think the
that.
tariffs are going to work. I think it's good. Other countries are going to drop their
I
tariffs.
think so too, and I think with that
he's
it
going to
gets
bring down
messier.
drug prices. I think not going to war is going to be great for the world. And all I hear let's see.
Can I on
Maybe
on
I'm
tariffs,
right,
I
maybe
have
I'm
something
wrong.
to say about that. And as someone of Chinese descent, I think it's significant. Ever since China entered the WTO in 2001, it's been taking advantage of us. It's been exploiting the system. The system has been fundamentally unfair. They've been stealing our tech. They've been stealing our proprietary information and then building their economic engine.
And we've been exploiting their workers.
And Trump needed to do something. Someone needed to be brave enough, willing to bite the bullet and take on the panicans of, both the uniparty, the phrase that you just used. And he's willing to do it. Let's give him 90 days to sort it out. I actually have faith that something will be done under his leadership, because the current status quo is fundamentally untenable. And God forbid, if we ever go to war with East Asia, we cannot be dependent on them for rare earth minerals, for instance. We just can't. We need to
Under
be
the
more.
Trump doctrine, we will not be going to war with them.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope.
This is... Oh, go ahead, Amy.
I was just the other thing that I noticed that people were annoyed about this bill is that one of the mandates that Trump got in on, fixing the economy, catering to the average person, the American worker, no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes, no tax on Social Security, those are only temporary as well. It's like all of the good things are only temporary, and then all of the cuts are meant to take effect like way later. I am Team Trump all the way. I don't know if Trump even fully knows what's inside of this bill. Can he even count on all of the people around him to be completely transparent about why people would be objecting to this in the first place? I can understand why people are not down for this thing. And I really hope that Republicans are able to come together. They're able to make some adjustments, because you can't just tell people that we are going to take away all of these taxes, all of these tax cuts later on, and then increase all of this spending, and then say it's not going to affect inflation and standard of living, because it will. All of the benefits are backloaded.
Well, this harkens back to what Nancy Pelosi said. We have to pass the bill in order to find out what's in it, right?
Oh, God.
That sounds great and not dysfunctional at all.
Right, right. Okay, are we ready to move on from this one?
Yes.
I have one last question, because I think that people are hearing about this and they're not sure, and it's slightly divergent, is the downgrade in our credit that they're tying to this bill. So Moody's Corporation apparently downgraded America's credit from AAA to AA1. And if you think, well, what does that mean and who cares? It's been suggested that it's going to be passed on to everyday Americans through higher interest rates on loans, home loans, car loans, student loans, and so on, and that it could devalue the dollar, which would drive up inflation. Now, I'm not an economist, And a couple of people are like, no, this is rhetoric, it's baloney, and they're just using this to attack Trump. But then other people say it's significant and it's of concern. What do we think on this one, team?
I think it's politically driven, and I think the timing was extremely significant. I think it's an anti-Trump move. I absolutely do.
It's not good. What's happening? It's out
So
of my
you
wheelhouse.
think it's
but of
valid,
course it's
though,
not
correct?
good.
I mean, because it's based on, as you and I were just discussing this,
based
national
on
debt.
Our debt.
Like, it's
based
real.
on our debt.
It's a problem.
And the reason why Moody's lowered our AAA credit rating is because of the fact that you have this impending bill that, as it's written right now, is expected to increase our debt by $5 trillion.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So I get where they're coming from. And, you know, for as long as I've been in this, industry, the Republican Party has repeatedly said that they're concerned about the debt and the deficit.
And then they do nothing.
Exactly. In fact, no, they do worse. They exacerbate the issue.
So bottom line is, we're hoping there are still significant changes to come with the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah.
All right, and I guess that remains
I think
to
it's
be
going to
seen.
take Trump putting pressure on them. He could do it, but he doesn't seem to be doing it.
And just making those adjustments. I just hope that there are people that he's willing to listen to who are honest with him about the real draw. Because I honestly am not 100% convinced that he even knows why people are so opposed to this.
Thank you so much for watching Her Take. If you like the show, can you help us out by subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification button, sharing, commenting, joining the conversation? It helps us out a ton with the algorithm. We appreciate you.